Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm acutely aware that we've had to skip the tea break in the interest of time, but I hope the conversation that we have here with Dhanush is as invigorating and as refreshing as a steaming hot cup of coffee.
Thanks.
And on that exciting note, I'd like to understand certain things from you, Dhanush, in the course of this conversation that we have. Now, we talk a lot about the potential and the transformative impact of data in making an organization agile, future ready, data driven, intelligent. But a lot of that is not possible unless we get our arms around the basic foundational issues like data management, data strategy, data operations, data governance, and all of those things. And I know from a lot of my conversations with CIOs and CDOs, and they state these as some of those foundational issues that are keeping their organization from really achieving the impact that they really could with data. So, since a solid data management strategy is key to achieving the business impact of data, what do you think are some of the critical issues in terms of data management that the organizations are wrestling with?
Yeah, I think in many of the traditional, companies who have had IT, assets for a very long time, and then they are trying to unlock the potential of these IT assets or the data assets. I think one big challenge is, first of all, figuring out what the data means, right? And typically, you're trying to solve some sort of business problem, and you have to go figure out where this data lies, what it means, and so on. Then you realize there's not enough documentation. We don't know what this means. And
So getting the relevant contextual data
yes,
that can be applied to a business use case.
yes. And I think, and you alluded to this foundational issues, a lot of this can be architected ground up. Um, so how you actually manage your information architecture, how you sort of do the change management, right? And how you actually communicate these changes and figure out what kind of impact it has on the end users, right? And all the business analysis that follows. I think that's one of the big challenges. Quality is, of course, a issue in certain industry. In a fintech like I'm from, quality is something we cannot, it has to be 100% because we can't get even a single record wrong, right? So there's a lot of effort that goes in ensuring the reconciliation happens correctly. We have to do financial reports and so on, right? I think, see, teething issues is, first of all, getting all the data um, in one place, getting it documented, having it cataloged, and basically having that communication gap be bridged, right, with the end users. If that can be done, and this is, I think, one of the big problems that you have, and how you link all this information, and linking all this information also sometimes becomes problems in traditional industries.
Perfect. So, Danish, you gave me a very well-rounded answer, and I think it also resonates with the Alice in Wonderland quote, "Begin from the beginning," because you spoke about finding the data in the right places, timely data, contextual. You also spoke about the quality of data, data cataloging, and trying to figure out, some of these basic tenets that organizations need to get in place before they really have built ambitious and lofty goals around data. Now, you're from a digital native fintech company, and data is at the beating heart of your business. So, what is your approach towards data management in areas like lending? Understanding, underwriting, understanding the customer personas in things like portfolio management, risk management. What is the approach that you've taken? How do you make sure that the maximum relevant data is collected and it's effectively used?
Sure. So probably I should start by giving a bit of introduction about lending card. It basically in the space of MSME unsecured loans, and we have issued like close to 10,000 crores of loans so far since its inception in 2014. and everything is AI-driven underwriting. Underwriting is basically the process you follow to basically screen an applicant, who comes for a loan, and then decide what the person's risk grade is, and how much amount or how much interest this person should get. But what is interesting in the space currently is it's becoming a platform play. It's becoming a marketplace of originators. It could be direct selling agents. It could be direct marketing based traffic that comes through our web or app. And you also have strategic partners like Amazon and Swiggy who actually want to provide unsecured loans to the sellers in their marketplace. And then at the sort of the supply side, you have a lot of co-lenders, and co-lending has become like a big buzzword in the industry now. So if you think about all these aspects, right, how you track the data from your source to all the way till fulfillment, in terms of, yeah, you get the bureau, you get your bank statements, right, and bank statements also, there's a lot of transformation happening now. So you have physical bank statements, which you have like third-party tools like Perfios, you convert to like structured content, but you also have account aggregators that the government has been pushing very hardly, and that very hard, and a lot of banks have signed up for it. So you have digitized form of data coming in, and so in terms of the whole flow, from how we get an applicant, how we screen that person, to how we figure out the actual risk grade and what kind of eligibility they have. All of this is done through our own, like a combination of our own inbuilt technology platforms and third-party software. So we have loan origination systems, loan management systems, collection systems, and all of these are transactional, right? In some sense, transaction systems, which all the data, sort of the data pipelines and the strategy. So all of this data from the transaction systems are moved into like a data warehouse and a data lake through change data capture and so on. So it's a very standard tech stack that you would find in any company. So in terms, the use case is very well understood. You need to have a very good eye on the funnel, almost on a day-to-day basis, right? If you are seeing healthy conversions in every stage of the process, how can you bring about any operational changes, or assess the effect of any technology change you have made? Has this actually affected the whole funnel, right? So that's one aspect. In terms of how you partner with other co-lenders and all that, so for example, to establish a performance of a loan, you need to know whether the person has actually paid up, right? And this happens through automated clearing of your EMIs, right? Which everybody is probably familiar with. Has that happened or not? That information has to come back for us to even know whether this person is delinquent or not, right? And the network of 16 odd co-lenders that we have, right? It's a very interesting problem to have. So it's just not a single problem that we have. We also need to ensure that all our partners are also brought into our whole data governance strategy, right? And the whole data quality framework that we have.
Thanks for giving me a peek into that very complex structure, but kudos to you for making it work. But there's another aspect that I'd want to touch upon now. In this digital first era, organizations have their data on premise, in the cloud, everywhere in between. So how do you think a centralized data management approach could really help deal with some of the manageability issues and some of the security and protection issues?
Yeah, I think a few speakers, I think, spoke about hybrid multi-cloud. I think there's standard ways of dealing with that problem. And at LendingCart also, we have some of a combination of on-prem and cloud. A lot of our call recordings, for example, is on-prem. A lot of the data science assets is actually on-prem because we have more high-powered servers, compute servers. So I think having a like some sort of backup strategy, having some sort of way of synchronizing the data on both, both the on-prem and your cloud infra. I think that's very key. And I think there are very standard tools out there to manage this currently. And I think security is fairly a simple problem. I think you can solve it with network security, boundaries that can be common for both. Um, I think the data privacy part is a more interesting one, and I think that will require a bit of ground-up architectural thinking.
Now, there are trends emerging in areas of data governance, data cataloging, serverless computation. These are some of the trends that will shape the data management strategy of organizations. How are you viewing this? What are some of these things that are making their way into your roadmap? And as you look out into the future, what are some of those things that you would watch out for?
Yeah, I think one common problem that we see in data sciences is, there's a lot of repetitive work that happens, and one analyst doing one analysis, another data scientist doing something else, and a lot of the information gets lost. Right?
Right.
I mean, we did talk about other data governance where
While also
this,
making it very labor intensive and of course, like you said, information asymmetry as well.
yes, yes. So I think that's where I think the kind of game is changing, and the technologies are sort of trying to cater to that use case. How you can actually capture some of that work and sort of make it more available with the rest of the organization, right? So you hear a lot about this currently in the industry about governance, building data lineage tools to be able to kind of also link not just data but other derivative works, right, which are linked to a particular a data asset. So those are also assets that you want to carry forward and so on. I think so. Some basic way of doing this, knowledge repositories and all that, but I think we need to go beyond that, right? And that's the only way you could truly unlock the potential of the data in the future, right? But somebody else comes, has a look at it, right? They know what can be done with this, right?
Right. And you also see a place for AI assisted data management, augmented data management, could take away some of the daily drudgery of data scientists.
Yes, there is one example that I was thinking of when we were discussing this earlier. So, since some industries, right, I think you do have challenges in sort of linking information, and this is one problem I've seen in marketing, I've seen in finance and accounting. And a very simple thing like name matching, like a vendor, like I have in one database with another, and I don't really have a good way of matching them. Or you want to do some sort of reconciliation of invoices with some other, right? And there AI helps a lot. In fact, we built AI solutions in one of my earlier organizations that could actually improve the reconciliation flows and sort of reduce the manual work required. I think there will be several such problems, especially in legacy industries and where you have a lot of legacy IT infrastructure, and AI can definitely add a lot of value there. That's one, and also there's a lot of unstructured data in a lot of organizations, and there something you could do for call recordings is one thing that we have a lot. RBI regulates us to store every interaction with a customer, but a lot of insights are just logged in it with no idea, but it's a very tough problem. It's a multi-speaker problem because you have an agent and right, as a customer, and you have so many Indian accents that they're talking in, and current speech technologies are not there yet, right? And we have been talking to Google about this. But yeah, there's just some of those things. If you take about agreements, like a lot of physical documents, there's so many things that you can do.
So there are, since India has a contrast in diversities, there are these unique challenges that
Yes,
come up,
yes.
right? Danish, you're the chief data scientist of a digital born in digital fintech company. So in that sense, you're further ahead in your data maturity, data transformation journey within your organization. So what are some of the tips and practical advice that you would have for organizations? What should they do right away to better position themselves for an effective and efficient data management strategy?
Yes, as a data scientist, I have very easy answer for that. So I think one big problem is communication, right? And I think especially in a technology company, you have different layers. You have the business, you have the data scientists, then you have the product, and then you have the actual technology team that actually does, actually builds the whole IT infrastructure or the particular application, which the business guy wants some outcome out of, data scientist is looking to do some analysis on. But sometimes this communication breaks because as they are kind of evolving the product and the technologies, and a lot of the data contracts or there are these contracts, right, that you kind of sign up for in some sense, where you had some use case in mind when you actually did something. But sometimes that gets lost. And I think one thing that everybody should try to do is try to make sure that communication exists. So things like data governance, data lineage tools gives us tools to sort of assess impact of changes that you would make. So you don't have a situation where a developer goes change something and my reports are all like gone for a toss, right? That should not happen. So doing that ground up and making sure everybody thinks about the analytics side of things and the data science and the AI use cases and see how to sort of keep that healthy, right, throughout the technology journey or the product journey you're going to take. This is a common problem everywhere. Startups, it's a bigger problem in startups because we're just very aggressive in trying to go the business, but sometimes we end up breaking things and we have to go like fix and all that. And I think important to adopt certain architectural concepts that can enable this. And a lot of internet scale companies have done a lot of this. I think a lot of best practices to take from them. These are my two advices for the companies that are trying to make the best of the whole tech stack.
Thank you so much, Danish. In the time that we had, you touched upon a lot of these critical issues, starting from how to get some of these teething problems in control. How can organizations go about dealing with data quality, data governance? You also raised a very practical point around the communication conundrum within the organization between business and the data scientists. You also gave us a little glimpse into your organization's data management strategy. Thank you so much for your insights and your real life perspectives on this topic. And I think we've also been able to do justice to the schedule. We stuck to schedule and we've not taken more than the time allotted to us. And thank you so much. And you've been a very attentive audience. And once again, as Danish said, and I'd like to add that as with most things in life, getting started early on your data management journey is what would really help. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks, Neha. Thanks for having me. Thank you.